Hello, good people of the Bronx and beyond. For artists, facing the struggles of practical life often comes with the territory of pursuing a dream. We will discuss creativity and inspiration, but also ask questions such as, where's this month's rent coming from? How much longer can I continue to perform for the love of the art? Can I feel fulfilled without my art? This is A Life in Art. Welcome to A Life in Art. My name is Henry Ovalles and I'm your host, bringing you engaging and personal conversations with actors, dancers, singers, musicians, and other performing artists who you may not be familiar with. People who have been working on their craft for at least a decade and are at a crossroads where passion meets necessity, but whose talent and quality of work cannot be denied. Our guest today is a multi-talented performing artist, singer, dancer, and actress. She has often been seen singing her way through the New York City subway system. Today we learn about Chaunice Chapman's life in art. And here we are with Chaunice Chapman. When I mentioned your credits, I forgot to mention probably the most important one. As of a few months ago, your new title is Mother of Elliot Ray Baltitis, right?
Yes.
So how has motherhood been for you?
It's been amazing. It's probably the most intense thing I've ever done. It is the most intense thing I've ever done, but my daughter's amazing. I'm learning from her already. She's only 7 months old.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and it's interesting that we're on the journey, sort of on the path together, because I also have a newborn 4-month-old. Your baby is about to be 7 months old. Mm. So as we get started, we're gonna dig into your artistic life and find out what you've been through and where you're going. But for full disclosure, we should probably let the audience members know that we do have a bit of a history. We're great friends, but what seems like another lifetime ago. We actually dated for about 5 years, and at one point were engaged to be married. So what happened there? First question.
No, we're not, no pressure. I've done a lot of exploration in life, and I've kind of tried to make my life be about that, about discovering new things and finding out things about myself that I didn't know, and pushing myself to other boundaries and other limits. And man, I just wasn't ready for you.
Thank you for answering that question seriously. I actually wasn't sure if you were going to or if I wanted to know the answer. But let's get into your artistic life now, or go a little bit further. Where were you born?
Me, I was born in downtown Beekman Hospital in the city in Manhattan. Raised in Queens, Jamaica, and Forest Hills, Queens. Went to school there. First started acting in a drama class in elementary school. I remember she wanted me to get on stage and sing Mr. Postman. But after that, I went to Bronx Science High School. And
Smarty pants.
Yeah, it's been following me. And then I transferred from there to Talent Unlimited High School. More of my crowd, I think.
Why did that change come about? You didn't feel comfortable at Bronx Science?
Yeah, I always felt kind of coerced into going to Bronx Science. My mother demanded that I go. I got in, I passed the test, and she was like, "You're going to Bronx Science." I was like, I don't really like math or science, but I was good at it, and so that's where I ended up. Sometime in the middle, I decided I wanted a better fit for myself, and I was struggling with the grades there. It's very intense at Bronx Science, and kids are mean. um,
Were you able to have any artistic pursuits at Bronx Science at all? Was there a theater club or?
well, there was, but I wasn't 100% sure that that's what I wanted to go into. But I did cheerlead there, so that's how I kind of expressed. Prior to being an actor, I was a dancer. So cheerleading kind of allowed me to express that, and I did a lot of that with step team cheerleaders. But after leaving there, I went to Talents Unlimited, and it was much more my speed. I majored in dance, and then I majored in musical theater. And academics are present, but we got to be motivated by what we love to do. So I enjoyed that a lot.
Got it. You made good friendships there at TU?
Yes, there are a lot of people that I still talk to today from TU, and I go on and I'm proud of their accomplishments. I see what they're doing now. But yeah.
That's great. I think you're also in another organization, Artistic Tada, right?
Yes.
And what's the story there?
When I was about 14 years old, my mother dragged me to these auditions for Tada Youth Theater. We were late to the audition. I fought her every step of the way. I was like, I don't want to go. You know, I'm just going to go and I'm not going to do it. And she dragged me there and they made me sing. And I got in and I loved it. It was like the best decision I could have made. But they offer free acting training and movement training and voice training. And you get to put on productions with other youth for young people. It was amazing, and
it was typically musical theater were the productions that they would put on?
Yes, always musical theater. But it was the first time I really got to incorporate all these different skills and use them at the same time, and I think they fostered my love for performing musical theater.
Yeah, I mean, and you're the classic triple threat, as I like to say, because you started off as a dancer, then you got into, was it singing first or acting?
It was acting, I think.
So
yeah.
dancing, acting, singing, and you do them all well. Is there one that you prefer over the other?
At the moment, I love to act, and singing would probably come second to that. Dancing, oddly enough, was the first thing I did, but it's kind of at the tail end.
Why do you think that is? Do you think you got burnt out about it since you started at such an early age? At what age did you start dancing?
When I was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I spent most of my life rebelling against my mother's influences, but it's undeniable. But she started me off as dancing, and she was a consummate dancer. I'd see pictures around the house, and I've seen video of her dancing, and she was amazing. She was amazing at everything she tried as well.
Right, she's a singer to be reckoned with as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for a long time I didn't even consider myself a singer because I would listen to my mom and she's the singer. What I do, I dabble. You know, I can hear the notes, but my mother was the singer.
And what's the story with your dad? Was he an artistic influence as well? Was he into the arts?
Absolutely. Yeah, my father. He's in his own gospel band. It's called Set Apart Gospel Band.
That's right. I have the CD.
Yes. And he has always played the harmonica by ear, so there was always music in our home. I thought that's how other people grew up, you know, with people singing over dishes, and like, I just thought that's what people did. Random spontaneous beatboxing sessions with my uncles, you know.
Right, that's what you grew up in.
Yeah.
And your parents are not together anymore. How old were you when they divorced?
I was 16 years old when they divorced.
Was that troubling for you at the time, or?
Yes, it was a little bit traumatic for me. I think in hindsight, I realized how traumatizing it was for me, because I kind of would always just shrug it off. You know, this is no big deal.
I remember conversations that we had. You would sometimes say like, "Oh no, it's best that's how it went."
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was grateful that they separated, because the home at the time, it was full of turmoil. There was always arguing. So the separation was the best thing to happen. But still, I think after that, events that occurred, you know, it left a mark on me for sure.
Got it. All right. So on that note, let's take a little pause now, and then we'll come back and dig into that artistic family home where people were beatboxing and all of that. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with more A Life in Art from Chaunice Chapman when we return.
And roll, we say, we we budget, so don't accept defeat.
Now you can get covered and still buy me treats.
You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options.
I'm only 17, but I know about investing. Believe in something, buy shares in it, watch it grow. So, what if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. I could be one of the first college graduates from my family, the first philanthropist from my neighborhood. And if I'm the first, then maybe there's a second and a third. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow. My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
Welcome back to A Life in Art. We're here with the talented Chaunice Chapman. So Chaunice, earlier in the show, we were talking a little bit about your roots, where you went to school, your artistic family. So let's move on a little bit there. I think we got through high school where you moved from Bronx Science to Talent Unlimited, and that sort of opened the gates to you of like, oh, this could be a different life that I actually enjoy. What happened after that? Where did you go to college?
After that, I forgot to apply to college, as I'm famous for saying, forgetting things. And I applied for CUNY, which I thought would be a great opportunity for me to kind of continue. And I applied to Lehman. I knew where it was. It was very close to my old home, Bronx Science. And when I applied to Lehman, they offered me a scholarship and I had financial aid, and that made up my mind for me, and I ended up at Lehman College. But I believe in the universe and the energies you're sending out, coming back to you in a positive way, and serendipity, and Lehman College is exactly where I was meant to be. I learned so much there. I met you there, one of my best friends. But yeah, I ended up at Lehman. I decided to major in theater after being around. There were, what, 50 majors when we started here?
Yeah, something like that. And I think the class that graduated before our class was something like 5 or 6. So we were you know, really in a small pond. So
Absolutely.
A lot of attention to us and opportunities to do different things.
I think that may have been the best thing for us, because we ended up being so hands-on. Like we learned lighting, we learned all the technical work, we learned, I remember set design and set painting, had to do costume designs. I loved the costume design, wardrobe, and then acting, but we really had to push ourselves, which is what I needed. And then learning production a little bit, or rather like running a production company with Dante Alberti. Right. I remember that class.
Right, theater management.
Theater
you're talking
management
about where
class.
you had to sort of do a mock theater company, create your own company, and go through it from creating a mission statement to what your first performance was going to be, and writing press releases and things of that nature.
Exactly. And I don't think I realized how valuable what I was learning at Lehman was until I tried to go elsewhere. And I was running into all kinds of actors who just had like a one-dimensional sense of what theater was and what it was supposed to be. And we never had that. We had to do everything. From the ground up. We had to participate and be a part of everything. I was talking to people from conservatories who like didn't even get on stage till like their 3rd or 4th year. Yeah. And I can't imagine being who I am today and having the successes that I've had without that all-encompassing knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, at the end of the day, it's theater specifically is but all of the performing arts, they're practical arts. You need to, as much as, as good as the theory is that you learn in the classrooms, and all of that's important, until you get up on your feet and try it, it doesn't click, and
Exactly.
It doesn't happen. So you went through Lehman College. At what point then would you start to consider yourself a professional performer?
Yesterday.
I see. All right,
when I got the call from Henry going, no. I'm always working on my craft. I don't think it really started to sink in. I still don't feel like I know what I'm doing, but it didn't really start to sink in that I have an idea until probably around the time I got pregnant with my daughter, honestly.
So recently.
It's been a long process. filled with self-doubt. But yeah, I started working with a company, the African Women's Repertory Company. And
This is recently.
this is recently. And this woman didn't know me from Adam. She called me up on a referral from someone else I had worked with and cast me. She cast me after she learned I was pregnant. Which
They needed a pregnant?
No, she didn't need a pregnant woman, but when
Okay.
she writes all the plays, and when she heard that I was pregnant, she started hooting and hollering. She was like, whoa, and she's like, that's exactly what this play needed. And I came in, and, you know, I did this play with her, and I've done a few plays with her since. And she sat me down one day, and she talked to me about what she felt my talent was. And to hear that from this person that, like, didn't even know who I was, like, that clicked something in me, like, okay. And I think that's when I decided, okay, I'm gonna do this.
So you never know what inspiration is gonna hit. How did you get your equity card? Equity, of course, Actors Equity
Yes.
Association is the professional union for actors and stage managers of the stage. So when did that happen for you?
I went on an audition. I went on an audition for TheaterWorks USA, which is a great company. They do children's theater as well, which, thank you, Dante. Dante Alberti, for those who don't know, runs the...
He's the director of Lehman Stages. I'm the
Yes.
assistant director of Lehman Stages at Lehman College, and he's created so many opportunities for all of us. You're speaking right now about the Children's Theater Company at Lehman, where we've performed hundreds of times in different venues all over the Bronx and beyond, and it's really something that, you know, I have a bias, obviously, but I feel that provides a great service, and we're all very thankful to Dante for creating that opportunity for us and bringing that to the community. But yeah, you got a lot of training there.
I get tons of training there. And I went on to an audition for TheaterWorks USA, and they're an equity company. So I went on a couple of children's theater tours with them and was able to get my equity card through them.
Okay. And now how do you go from there, getting your equity card and going on tour around the United States, to deciding, hey, I'm going to go sing on the subway? How did that come about?
Oh, trying times. I was living with my grandmother, and I wanted to kind of strike out on my own, but I don't really think I had wrapped my head around the fiscal responsibilities. I started working in a bar in Crown Heights, Brooklyn.
The requisite acting jobs: bartending, waitressing, hostessing.
Exactly. And at this bar, this St. Lucian bar, they had a karaoke night every Thursday, and they'd make me sing. You know, oh, the bartender, oh, you have a voice, go sing. Da, da, da. So I'd sing my little bartending songs. And there was a person there, a patron of the bar, who would come, and he's like, you know, you got to come out on the train with us. I'm like, I don't know about the train singing, but thank you. And months later, he would come to the bar, and he would always tell me. And months later, I'm looking at my rent bill, and I'm like, wow. And he's like, I'm telling you, man, you got to come on the train, you got to go sing.
You want to pay that rent?
Yeah, right? And I was like, okay, fine, I'll try it. And I showed up, we rehearsed, and went out, and
You've been doing it ever since.
hooked, yeah.
All right, so when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So Chaunice promises not to hop on the next train while we take this next break. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back with Chaunice Chapman's Life in Art.
And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, she keeps me warm. 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 She keeps me warm.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Love is kind. Love is patient.
Enroll, we say. We want you to be okay. Enroll, we say. Take care, people.
every budget, so don't accept defeat.
Now you can get covered and still buy me treats.
You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options.
Today, 1 out of every 4 American kids is Hispanic.
That means many of the future doctors who will care for us, the engineers who will build our cities, the scientists and entrepreneurs of our country can be your kids.
We all know how hard it is for you to send them to college. This is why we want you to know you are not alone.
And every day more people support you to make it happen. Many support you. And the Hispanic Scholarship Fund helps you prepare, plan, and pay for your kids' college education.
HSF.net.
You don't believe me? Well, told you.
And we're back here on A Life in Art with Chaunice Chapman. So Chaunice, we were talking about your transition into the train. Can you share some anecdotes there of how that's been to you? Do you usually run with different people? Have you ever run into the police or any scary situations on the subway late at night, or do you sort of pick safe hours?
We typically do safe hours, the morning or the early evening, but there are a number. I don't even think we have time for all the anecdotes I could share with you, from people who are growling and making angry faces when we walk in. Like, are you really gonna do that here? And then we sing, and then they're like, oh, I loved it. Thank you. You brightened up my day. Yeah, there've been a number of crazy things. The woman who was stripping on the train with us.
To your music?
To our music, yes.
Okay.
But we try to bring an air of positivity with us when we travel. And we've had a pretty good response. I love doing it. We make a little pocket change, but mostly I love doing it because I love seeing the expressions on people's faces when you bring art to them right there. They're trapped in the subway car. They can't go anywhere.
A captive audience for sure.
Yes, exactly, literally. But yeah, I love doing the subway.
And was it on the train also, and I may be mistaken here, was that where you met your fiance and your baby daddy,
Yes.
Mike?
Yeah, we were brought together by a mutual friend, a rapper, and he's like, come on, let's go make some money on the train so we can pay rent this month, all of us. He had just quit at Starbucks. He's an aspiring architect and a musician. And I, as well, we came together. I'm not an architect, a musician, but we came together, and we did that for months together, and he became another one of my best friends.
And that evolved into now a beautiful baby.
Yeah, Elliot
That's
Ray.
awesome.
Yeah.
We might have to have Mike on the show at some time to talk to us about an architect that's pursuing a music career also. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for you guys, how do you make ends meet? Is it through his architecture, or through the 10 projects that you're always juggling at the same time, or? Is it a struggle, or how does it work?
Oh, it's definitely a struggle. He's just starting in architecture, so he's making his salary there, and that helps us tremendously. Allows us to kind of just make it. And I try to bring in other income when I can, doing random children's theater shows and various performances elsewhere. But a lot of what I do right now, I'm very grateful for him, because I'm trying to build more of a career in the arts, and it's difficult. People don't always want to pay artists.
Yeah.
And I always want to be working on my craft, so I always want to be doing something, and a lot of times people take advantage of that.
Yeah, it's wild how people just don't understand. If you're paying a plumber or a carpenter to come and do something at your home, they studied that. That's their craft, and they have that skill set, and that's why they're able to perform this this task for you. With artists, it's the same thing. We don't just, of course, yes, there's the whole argument about, are you born with talent or is it nurtured? I believe it's a combination of both. But yes, you're born with some talent, but you have to work on it. You have to, you've been working on it for years, decades. And people don't always appreciate that, and always think that you just can do a party trick, like, oh yes, come and sing for this event. We don't have a budget for that. We have budget for all types of other things, but not for the singer, not for the actor. So that's definitely a struggle of a life in art, and I'm sure that you've run into that a lot.
Absolutely. I was this season working on about somewhere between 8 and 10 new projects, and I think maybe 2 or 3 of them were for any income.
Right.
But the rest I do por amor al arte, for the love of the art. Is that right?
That's right. You
Good
got
Spanish?
it.
Good.
Por amor al arte. You got it.
But yeah, for instance, I'm doing a religious themed play in Piscataway, New Jersey, coming up. And like that's all of there, but I'm always grateful when someone will at least cover transportation. Let me get there so I can do what I do with you and for you. But it's a continuous struggle, absolutely.
What was your dream as a little girl? Were you always thinking about being a performer, or was there something else initially?
I think I've always just been a performer. Thing that I've encountered that I enjoy as much as I enjoy doing this, and I'm just gonna keep doing my best to try to garner some income from doing what I love to do. What else
I mean,
can
it's a great thing, and I think that's something that sometimes we as artists might take for granted, that we did find something that we love and that we're passionate about and that makes us happy. You were talking about medical school. My wife, whom I love, went through medical school and is now not practicing medicine because she's decided that she's not sure if that was, the thing for her. And she's like, sometimes gets down on herself about, all those years that I spent. And I said, no, listen, a lot of people go through life and, go into their 40s, 50s, 60s, doing a job that they don't necessarily like or love. This is the time, take your time to figure out what you want. And it doesn't have to be done by the time that you're 18, which is, a misconception. I'm 18, I'm going to college, I need to choose what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. That's just not the way it works.
Absolutely, it's exactly that. There is no timeline, there is no one path. And like me personally, I chose to have my family first, and now I'm really delving into acting more than I should have, or probably what some people say I should have before. But for me, that was the path I needed to take, and now I'm wholeheartedly in it. And she's a motivating factor, absolutely. And
one of the last questions that I had was this, which I think I know the answer to, is with what you've been through in life, would you, want your daughter to have a life like that? But I think you're already taking her out on auditions, so I guess that you're all for it.
Absolutely. I have people who've started college funds off their child's, child modeling, and I'm completely a parent about it. Like, I'm not gonna subject her to anything that I feel is inappropriate or would do her any harm, and I'm not trying to live off of her. Everything I'm doing is for her, to set a foundation for her. But I'm gonna follow her lead on it. If she decides, it's not something she wants to do, then I'm not opposed to her stopping. I just wanna enable her dreams, and that's allowed us to begin.
That's great. I don't think I could think of a better way to end. Are you good? Anything else that you wanna say before we wrap up, or?
Thank you.
No, thank you. It's been great talking to you about life in art. It's awesome to see you continue to blossom, and I look forward to the career that you have ahead. Thanks for joining us. All right, folks, that's all the time we have today. Thanks to Chaunice Chapman for sharing her journey with us, and thank you to our viewers, for joining us today. We'll be back with more stories from emerging artists when we return with The Life in Art.